This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment podcast. And I'm just a little bit excited today because I'm very, very excited to introduce to our community somebody that I've been following for quite a long time, actually, on LinkedIn. And I'm hoping this will be a familiar face to an awful lot of you as well. This is Bevan, and she is the social media marketing guru and the owner of Original Social Jems. Welcome to you today, Jem. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you? Look, I'm here. Finally.
Yeah, she's here. And as a little off the side, she definitely gets a bravery award because she's actually recording this with us in January 2022 with horrific toothache. So you deserve an absolute medal, and thank you so much for continuing. So if she starts to slurp a little bit or dribble, that's why, guys. So hopefully she'll get through it. But thank you for joining us today. Now, we connected, I can't remember when it was, but certainly I became
it
was 2020. Maybe COVID, maybe before, can't remember. But the whole point of me asking you on today is because you are the guru on LinkedIn. I mean, you are so good at, I think, conveying what is important to me, which is about having, a true voice, being yourself, but in a kind way, sharing great, valuable content. And I really want everyone that's listening today, which is a global audience, we've got recruiters right across Europe, right across America, right across Australia and Asia, as well as here in the UK. I want people to really understand how to unlock the power of LinkedIn. So that's why I've introduced you here today. So give us a little synopsis of Jem, how you became this marketing guru. Who are you?
So believe it or not, my background's actually recruitment. So I worked as payroll for recruiters. We used to payroll all the drivers, the industrial guys, warehouse workers, care, that type of thing. And we worked at a highly saturated market, very much like recruitment agencies. And when you're trying to contact recruiters, they're always on the phone themselves trying to fill placements. So you can never really get through to the person you need to speak to, which is how I started using LinkedIn in the first place. So I sold through LinkedIn for nearly 10 years on my own. I trained sales teams to be able to do it themselves as well. And for the last 6 months of me actually being in employment, the majority of leads I generated through LinkedIn were people asking me to help them with LinkedIn.
Right.
It was before my 30th birthday, and I kind of sat there and went, well, do you know what? If you don't do it now, you're never going to do it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's kind of how it went. I did a post on it. I did a Zoom LinkedIn training session. Wow. The first day I set up Social Jems, and we ended up with 3 or 4 clients off the back of that.
Wow, that's amazing. So these are people that, did they know you already? They already followed you? Right, okay.
I've got a lot of the people we actually work with are recruiters because they've known me from my recruitment days. I even do the content for one of my old bosses.
Right, that's amazing. I see that. To me, that's such a perfect marriage of, having endorsements and people that know you. So it's through recommendation, which is why we should never forget that. It's about the job you actually do, as well as the persona that we have on LinkedIn, and ensuring that we're still doing the right thing by people. It's not just about sharing things for the sake of it. Because I think there's, I don't want to start on a negative, but I think there's a kind of misconception that if you just sit there on LinkedIn all day, share your job, share your content, it doesn't really matter about anything else. You'll just fill jobs. No, you still need to actually do a good job for people, don't you?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people seem to think now it's all about LinkedIn, when in reality it's not. So by having a strong online presence on LinkedIn, it helps in other areas, especially in recruitment and sales. So if you're constantly banging the drum about how amazing the company is and talking to people about who you are and what you offer, then you attend a networking event. I've had this happen to me when I used to work in sales roles myself, where people will actually come up to you and start a conversation about a post that you did online that you didn't even know they'd seen.
Wow. Okay.
You also find as well that when you cold calling, which I know a lot of people say cold calling's dead, I don't think it is. I think it works in conjunction with other methods. But if you've actually trying to cold call and trying to speak to businesses and directors of businesses, again, they're more inclined to take that call. There's a couple of reasons for that. It might be that they like something that they've seen, you've posted online, and they want to have a conversation with you about it. There's also the fact that sometimes they'll sit there and go, oh God, I know that person, but I don't know why. And they take that call just for that reason, because they know you. They just don't know how they know you. But regardless of how you've got there, you've got to where you need to be.
Yeah, of course. It's like anything. I mean, I always think if somebody rang me out the blue that I had no idea who their brand was, I don't follow them on social media, I'm not going to take their call. I'm literally going to dump their call. And anyone that has ever actually called me, they will know that my voicemail on my actual normal phone says, don't bother leaving the voicemail because I won't listen to it. And they, you know, I just think that's the world that we live in. I think you become more confident and you trust more in brands that you build up a knowledge of over a period of time. So if you then get a call from that brand or that person, you're going to be more likely to take the call. And I think it's really important that we've started with that, because cold calling isn't dead. It's just a different way of doing it.
Yeah. And especially with recruiters as well, you guys know that if someone asks you to fill a placement for them, they're asking you to fill that placement, not the business that you work for, you as a person, because they like you, because they're bought into you. You also know that when you move on and you decide to go work in a different recruitment agency, that person's built that relationship with you, so they will move with you. So all you're doing by putting this information on LinkedIn, by talking to them about recruitment, what it's like for you, and from the emotional point of view as well. So someone's in for an interview, how do you feel about it? Are you nervous? Do you know if they don't get that job, what impact that's going to have on their life? Talk about it.
Yeah.
By actually giving people this information, you're building rapport before you've even got to a point where you're approaching.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true, actually. I mean, how long have you been on LinkedIn for?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. I was going to say, I was looking, I think I've been on this since about 2008. So obviously a very, very, very long time. But I think I was quite, I think it was where techies were on there. And then somebody must have invited me. I was like, what's this newfangled thing? Because obviously I was on Facebook at that point. So how has LinkedIn changed in the last 10 years as far as you can see? And then if people are listening, where we're going to make the assumption that if you're listening to the Recruitment podcast, you must have a LinkedIn profile. And if you don't, what on earth are you doing? So we're going to make that assumption. That's our starting point. And what I want to understand is, from what you've seen over the last decade, what should people have as a bare minimum on their LinkedIn profile to attract their audience in whatever capacity, particularly recruiters, for candidates and clients?
So you want to change your tagline, because a lot of recruiters, especially, it'll say job name, job title. As soon as you put recruiter sales on that tagline and people can see it quickly and easily, you're going to lose people, and they're not going to accept, because they're automatically going to assume that you're going to go, I've got a role for you, as soon as they press accept that connection request. So you want that on there. You've also got as well, quickly and easily now, that video. When you enable creator mode, you've got 30 seconds. Now, with a lot of our guys, we use it just for humor, but in a humorous way to actually explain who you are. So like, we'll have a client going, oh my God, what do you mean I've got to fill 15 placements today? And then I've got to book another 20 meetings. And then it's, is this you? Is this how you're feeling in your current role? Then get in touch. It's relatable, but it's humor-led. And if it's humor-led, it's rememberable. So actually using that 30-second video to show people not only what you do, but a little bit about you as well, is a really good way of standing out from the crowd. And your banner. So when people are actually clicking onto your profile, one of the main mistakes people make is assuming that humans, all of us, are inherently lazy. And if there's a lot of steps into doing something, a lot of us will switch off and decide we don't want to do it because it's too much hassle. So you want to be making it quick, easy and concise for people to get in contact with you. So you want your website on your banner, you want your contact number on your banner, and you want your email on your banner. You also want a little call to action on there saying how to get in contact. We tend to lead with DM, which is direct message me on LinkedIn, because it's the quickest, easiest way for people to get in contact. But then we always say that you need that email address and that contact number on there, because there is still individuals on LinkedIn that would prefer to send an email and ring than actually just drop you a message on a social media platform. So you're covering all bases and ensuring that you're not losing anyone.
That's really good. That's excellent. So are there any big no-nos? What do you think about photos of people that are like, I've seen more and more recruiters, particularly with their families, with their friends, which is great. But what are your thoughts on what that photo should look like?
So I don't mind. I've actually done polls and content pieces over the years on this in the past, asking people, and LinkedIn split. And if I'm completely honest, I think it's the older generation of business owners that still have this view that business and personal lives are completely separate and you can't mix the two. Right. Whereas our generations and the younger generations actually realize it's not the case, and it's not, there's no cut and dry. You can't just go, that's that, that's this. Both bleed into each other and always will. So you need to be talking about both, and you need to be showing both. So you tend to find that the only people that really get a bit miffed if your profile picture is a little bit on the personal side, usually the individuals that have got about 5 years until retirement anyway.
Right, okay. And what I love is I love you even more now because you class me in your generation, but I actually think I'm significantly older than you, but thank you anyway. I agree with you. Into 50. Shout out to all, I know. Woohoo! I think collision of personal and professional life on LinkedIn could not have come soon enough. And I don't know what day it happened. I don't know if it was one day or if it happened over. It was definitely during the pandemic, the lockdown one, where people started to share more personal stuff, and they were sharing pictures of the dog, and they were going on these walks because we had nothing else to talk about. We had no jobs to share. We weren't in offices. We are real people. And to anyone that's listening that still thinks that this is not Facebook, you're in the wrong platform now. LinkedIn has totally transformed. And this is where we do share equal amounts of, this is what's going on in my personal life, because what we bring to the office or what we bring to work is what's going on around us, in my opinion.
It's true. And if you are slightly less inclined to share that personal content because you've never done it before, it's a little bit alien and it's completely out of your comfort zone, ease yourself into it and actually talk about, so it's the new year, talk about your goals, your business goals. It's still giving people a little bit of personal stuff about you and what you actually want to achieve. How do you feel about office dogs? Because it's an everyone says you put a post on LinkedIn and it's a picture of a dog and it's going to do well, and everyone should have an office dog. But should everyone have an office dog? If some people are allergic to dogs in your office, it's not really going to have that same impact, is it? You've also got as well from your point of view, because you're recruiters, what you do is very emotive. And how a lot of people miss out on things on LinkedIn, especially in recruitment, is by just sharing that generic boring job ad, which doesn't get anywhere. And if you're lucky, you might get the odd person commenting so my connections can see. That's the be all and end all of what you're going to get. But if you actually talk about the recruitment process, how many no's do you actually have to hear in a day? How hard is it to actually speak to that decision maker? How many roles do you have to fill in a day? How many candidates tell you to off because you've rang them because their job's on a job board, but they now aren't looking for work, but they've not updated that. So obviously you're wrong for giving them a call. When a candidate gets a job and they send you some flowers or some chocolates or something to say thank you, how do you actually feel when that happens? Because it's few and far between. Most people expect you to do that because that's part of your role. But when that specific individual says, do you know what? I appreciate you. How much better do you feel about that? And there's the little emotive pieces that you can put in that are very personality led, that are still very much related to business. So it's an easy way of easing yourself in.
I agree. And I'm really glad that you brought that up, actually, because a lot of people are private and they don't want to necessarily share. You know, they don't want to share what they've got up to at the weekend with their children. They don't want to share maybe their vulnerability. And that's absolutely fine. We're not suggesting that you pull your pants down for everybody. But I do think what Jem is saying there is you can find it in yourself to share something that is going to resonate with your audience, because we all actually go through similar experiences at some point, and it will probably be, you know, it's not going to suit everybody. I think, you know, I don't know if you agree on the Marmite thing, not everything is going to suit everybody, but your target audience, just think about what they want to know about. You know, do they want to know about that you've got an office dog, or do they want to know what film you went to see at the weekend? Or actually talking about how has something made you feel is a human story, and people do generally tend to engage more with that than, you know, I'm hiring for a software developer and you need to have done this. Like, people are just going to scroll past.
Best example I can give you is, and I'm not saying use this terminology because you probably will get banned on LinkedIn for this now, but one of the most successful posts we ever did for a recruiter was I don't sugarcoat shit, I'm not Willy Wonka. And that was about giving brutal, open and honest feedback to clients and how it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
And that post, it did over 250,000 views just because it's a very emotive subject for people. And you see it all the time on LinkedIn where there's people going, oh, this recruiter didn't get back to me and ghosted me. And I've been trying to get a role for 3 weeks. But how many times did you ghost that recruiter first before they ghosted you? Absolutely. Which is usually the case. But that's the bit that never gets talked about. But you guys can actually talk about that. You get ghosted just as much as you ghost people. 9 times out of 10, It happens all the time, and 9 times out of 10 with people, with the recruiters that are actually ghosting people, they're not ghosting people because they don't care and they don't want to fill that role. It's because they're working for an absolute tyrant who's told them they've got to make 100 calls a day today, and that's their main priority, and they need to do this. And giving that person that feedback doesn't hit their KPI.
Yeah, it's very sad. And if you're working for a company like that, you need to call me, just like to say. But they're moving on.
Absolutely. There's loads of recruitment agencies that don't work like that now.
Oh, I would say most don't. But if you genuinely are working for a company like that, you need to ask yourself the question, are they still in the 1990s? Because that's where I came from. I think that's really interesting. So just to summarise, I just want to go back to how it all looks. I want to make sure we've not skipped too far ahead. In terms of a profile picture, do you have any advice like lighting, whether you should just be you, whether it should have people around you?
All I ever say is make the background stand out.
Okay.
So regardless of what you want that profile picture to be,
okay,
as long as that background is, it stand out, is show a block colour.
Okay.
And creating that block colour is very, very easy to use with Canva. So you can use a standard Canva account that's free, upload the picture that you want to make as your profile picture into Canva, and there's actually a button in there that just automatically removes the background. And then you can fill the background in with a colour. And then that means when people are going through the news feeds, you're going to stand out that little bit more because it's a bit brighter and it's a bit bolder and it draws your attention in a little bit more than just a standard background. So if we use like me as an example where I am now, if we use this, it's a nice backdrop for an image. But if this was just completely the green social gems, it'd be a little bit more distinctive in your newsfeed.
Yeah, I think I'm going to action point from recording this to when we share this. I think you might find that I might have gone a bit turquoise to match my Recruitment podcast colour, because we definitely don't need any more pink. There's a lot of pinks on there. Let's be honest.
If you use Canva, if you pull in your logo, it will automatically pull in the exact green for you to actually change it on your profile picture.
Oh, I think Shannon's going to be getting an action point from this because she's my Canva girl. That's for sure. No, that's absolutely brilliant. Now, I'm very mindful that everything that you've talked about there is quite specific to the recruiters listening, but for recruitment leaders, which is obviously your client base as well, how do they ensure that they are making sure that everyone that's growing up personal brands is still reflecting what their business is about? Because I think this is where there's always this disparity. How do we ensure that there's something collaborative going on?
So what I tend to do is, because we've had this quite a lot, where we've taken over the companies and they've gone, what we need to sort out is online presence, and mine's been, well, you need some on your company page, but more on your guys than anything else. So we tend to create the content for the directors.
Right. Okay.
And then help the other guys. So we'll have different themes and things that we want to be talking about each month. And then we'll speak to the teams about those themes so they can ensure that their content's in line with everyone else's.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of a lead by example, but us doing the leading by example, because most recruitment agency owners haven't physically got time to do their own.
It's true. No, it's very true. It is a thing that you have to make time to do every day. There's no doubt about it. So do you have a kind of do's and don'ts list of what you should or shouldn't be doing on LinkedIn to ensure that you stand out from all the other noise on LinkedIn?
So I just say to people, be nice and be approachable, especially in recruitment. Just don't be a dick. I know I'm swearing and I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we're adults.
But it is the one thing that a lot of people don't realise. Your whole activity on LinkedIn is visible. Not just your content, every comment and every like you put on there can be seen by everyone. So be kind, because you don't want to be putting posts on and going, well, do you know what? I don't agree with what you've put, and I think you're an absolute melon for putting that on LinkedIn. If a potential client actually saw that, that could potentially turn them off. Absolutely. So if there is things that you don't like on LinkedIn, scroll by it, because if you keep scrolling by it, it will not come back up in your news feed again.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, I've been trolled and a lot, and you put yourself out there, you're going to get some that don't like what you say. And I believe in killing with kindness. It's a bit like road rage. If someone's an absolute arse up my backside and they go past me, I let them go past, and I literally wave and blow kisses at them rather than go, kill with kindness. Kill your trolls with kindness too, because they'll just look really bad.
My favourite comment I ever got was someone going, God, you've got big teeth. And I just responded with, make my noses bigger. I'd have gone for
that. I don't even know what to say to that. Well, bless you for it. It's
people.
we in the playground.
It is, that's the thing though, isn't it? There is individuals and people who are going to start stepping out on LinkedIn. I do need you to know this. There is troll botty type accounts on LinkedIn. There is people out there that are just spending their day trying to destroy your day. Don't let them. Literally what we're saying is like, kill them with kindness. Just think lightly of it and think about it as exactly as it is. These people are passing judgments on what you're doing online when in reality they don't have the confidence to do it themselves. So when they have the confidence to step out of their comfort zones and do it themselves, that's when we'll start listening to their views on how we are.
Absolutely. I just think, I totally agree with that. Yeah, keyboard warriors are the worst, aren't they? But maybe they're just trying to learn. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do. And I don't know if you're using audio yet on LinkedIn. It's still quite early days, I think, for a lot of people to use audio. What are your thoughts on using things like video, audio on LinkedIn particularly?
In content, love it. Video content's phenomenal. Everyone loves it, especially if it's real, raw, unedited video content, because there's nowhere to hide. People can see exactly who you are. Yeah. In terms of messages, I'm not a massive fan. I like them from my friends, but I find them a bit cringe when I get them from people that I don't know. I also find as well, and I've spoken to a few people about this, I'm not saying anything against it. It is out of the box and it does make you stand out a little bit. But I always notice that when I get one, I kind of go, and then I go and hide somewhere quiet to listen to it because I don't know what that person's going to say.
Yeah. I am on a WhatsApp message. I have to say that I've when particularly with friends actually, because I'm the one that F's and Jeffs and I don't realise that they're playing it with the children in the car. But from a professional networking point of view, I'm actually with you on the videos. I think it's great to I think when you see overproduced ones, you think wow. But when you see something really raw and where someone's just done it, you know that they've put themselves out there. That's the first thing. When someone tries to sell to me, I will actually listen to an audio on LinkedIn in a DM. I will listen to an audio because I can do it while I'm doing something else. But if I see it's a video of any kind and I don't know them, I just don't play it because I'm cringing before I've even played it. And that's me being totally, hypocritical because I will share, but I wouldn't send a video to somebody I don't know. I'm sorry, in any way.
It's the other one that people do as well that really annoys me when they create content on LinkedIn and then they send it you in a message.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, if I wanted to comment on it, I would. So that tends to annoy people because people are like, right, okay, need to get loads of traction on my post, need to get loads of people to see it. How can I get loads of people to see it? I can send them loads of messages on it. And in reality, that's probably going to make them not want to see anything that you've done more than actually.
I do that actually. If it's a topic that they might not be aware of, maybe they're following it.
Yeah, we're talking like there's people that do it in mind that every post.
Oh right, no. I'll do it.
Like, say you've got a post that you've created that's a blog or it's a poll that's got some really good information on that'd be good to share with certain individuals in your network. By all means, share that.
Yeah. I was going to say, if it's a topic about, I don't know, working mums or something, and I've just been having a conversation the week before with a business owner about working mums, I'll think, I need to send it to so and so. But I understand the whole pod thing.
It's the blindness of it where you just like going, these are people in their network that I want to see my posts, and just sending it to them in messages. You're probably going to turn those individuals off, especially if it's your ideal target market. However, if it's something like a podcast that you're holding, a blog that you've created, some information or a news article that you found that you feel may be relevant to your ideal target market, there's nothing stopping you just dropping those people a message saying, I've recently found this, I thought you might find it useful, let me know if it helps. It's not overtly salesy, it's adding value.
It's adding value. Targeting.
Yeah, exactly. But sending someone just a post you've created saying, little Timmy took 20 minutes to get ready for school this morning, is probably going to turn more people off than it's going to turn them on.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, what are your thoughts on other social media platforms? For example, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if Clubhouse is even still going because I removed myself about 6 months ago. Where do you see the value for recruiters in addition to LinkedIn?
It depends on what sector you work in, to be honest. So if we're talking industrial warehouse recruiters looking for warehouse picker packers and drivers, HGV drivers, then you want to be on Facebook. Yep. You want to be pushing yourself into your local groups, which is where you're going to find those individuals. And no, I'm not talking your local buy and sell pages. There is local groups that are jobs for those specific areas that you can push those job roles that you have into. that's a good thing for Facebook, but that's going to be effective for, you're probably going to find carers on there, odd teacher. But if you work in tech, IT, rec to rec, and you hire white collar type roles, you're better off on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
but even with your logistics warehouse guys, it's just candidate attraction Facebook. It's still client attraction LinkedIn.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Instagram, yeah, it's good. TikTok's a really good way of getting your personality out there. I'm still not 100% sure how it works for recruiters or other, like, I get that Gary Vee believes that all the 14-year-old girls have the buying power, but I don't understand how a 14-year-old girl is going to get someone to buy services from me.
No, I agree. And actually, speaking of 14-year-old girls, I mean, I did create, and I have got a TikTok account. I'm just at Leisha Holmes Recruiter, I think. And I'm not actually creating a page to have as a TikTok page. I'm using the video to then share on LinkedIn or share it on Instagram. And I got my daughter absolutely killed me. She was like, what are you doing on there? You're so embarrassing. It's so awful. And I was like, you know, I've got to show me what to do. I said, this is why I'm using it. But I think you're right. I think particularly if you're doing executive level, you're doing professional services, are people going to choose you because of your TikTok page? I really don't think so. I think if you're doing brand, if you're doing something where somebody's going to buy a product, I do actually think it's the place to be, as is Snapchat. Snapchat's super powerful with that demographic. You know, selling something healthcare related or well-being, totally get it. But I just think for professional services, I still don't think you need to be distracted by TikTok or worried, but you could use it for video content.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to pull you back to that, because I had a conversation with one of my clients on Friday about this, who's a recruitment agency we work with. And he was like, is it TikTok where we need to be? Because there's TikTok videos all over LinkedIn. And I'm like, the thing that you're missing, and the main reason these TikTok videos are on LinkedIn, is because it's a very simple editing video tool that quite a lot of people can use. And it's really easy for them to strip that video from there when they've created it. So if you're wanting to create videos on LinkedIn, I'm just going to mention a couple of little things that you can use. TikTok's great for editing. Snapchat's actually pretty good for editing and little filters and things like that as well. Like you can play the music in the background on the TikToks, you can do the same thing on Snapchat. If you're on an iPhone, there's also another application called Clips. So we've spoken about sharing video content on LinkedIn and how effective it can be. But the main bit we actually failed to mention when we were talking about that section is subtitling. So most people, when they're actually watching video content on LinkedIn, are in a business. They can't actually listen to what you're saying, but they want to watch that video. Okay. So by subtitling, you can ensure everybody's going to be able to hear what you're trying to talk about. Yeah. If you've got an iPhone, the editing and the subtitle section of your videos is very, very easy. There's an application called Clips. If you record the video through Clips, it will auto subtitle that video for you.
Yeah. Although I remember, that's where I started actually, and then I can't remember what we moved on to. We moved on to a different app. And it would say rec to rec was rector.
You can change it though.
No, I'm just saying.
But it's annoying, isn't it?
I thought it was quite funny because and sector came out of sex. That's obviously what we're doing. But you have to check subtitles is the point I'm making.
Yeah, check them. Always check them. So once you've recorded that video, watch them back and amend everything. With Clips, it is really, really easy. You can just click on the subtitle and change the word in it.
If I can do it, anyone can do it, because I am technophobe, trust me. And TikTok's easy. I promise you, once you're doing it, just play around with it. That's what you should do. You know, one evening, just play around with TikTok. And I promise you can even share video. You can get all your photos. You don't even have to record yourself. Just loads of photos and make it into a video, add background music, add your voiceover. You just need a teenager to come and show you for about 20 minutes.
Pretty much, to be fair.
Yeah, we don't want to see any dancing on LinkedIn. I think that's what we're all agreeing. So what's coming up in 2022 for Social Jems? Reveal or tease us.
When Sarah's back, we're opening an office down here. So Sarah's going to be moving quite locally now.
Where's down here? Where are you?
Pontefract, West Yorkshire.
Oh, not far from me then. How lovely.
We'll be opening an office down here. We've now started, because we've been asking, people ask us all the time. So historically we set up doing LinkedIn. Now we do LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. We do the content, we do the engagement, and we do the messages and the connections for people. But now we're going to be offering the responses, which is apparently there seems to be a massive gap in the market and people keep screaming at us about it every week. We found a solution for that and people that can actually sort that out. So we're going to be able to not just be business development executives, which is how I've kind of sold it before when we're managing people's LinkedIn accounts. It's going to be a BDM. So you're actually going to get like the report at the end of the week saying this many meetings have been booked off what we've done with Social Gems. And I'm ex-sales, so that's kind of the bit that's been missing. And I'm really excited about adding it.
Yeah, I can tell. Final piece of the jigsaw. It sounds very exciting. By the time this goes live, hopefully Sarah will be back with you. And we really appreciate all the content and all the amazing value that you give to the community, which has included myself, which is how we first connected. So we just want to say thank you for joining us on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.